Hey everybody, it's your Uncle Bear. Happy Wednesday morning. Sorry for the pause in posts. I've been visiting a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Anyway, you'll have to forgive the angle of this video too, because the sun is just not cooperating today, and right now it's to my back. So anyway, I'm down here at Laredo. Just got backed into a door and getting ready to get unloaded. I wanted to speak a little bit about this fella, Harjinger. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Singh. Not sure if I pronounced that right either. But anyway, he's the driver of the truck that did a U-turn on the interstate in Florida, killing 3 people instantly, 3 innocent people. Now it's come to my attention, a couple things that come to my attention. Number one, I've heard reports, and I have no idea if they're true or not, but I've heard reports that he was legally here in the United States, and that he legally obtained a CDL. Neither of which I give 2 shits about, okay? Now, for those of you who aren't real familiar with me, I started driving in 1989, okay? I've got a couple miles under my belt. And here is what I'm going to... There are certain traditions that truck drivers have on the road. One of them being, you know, if it comes down to your life or an innocent, the innocent lives. That's just the way it is. That's part of this job. That's part of the code of this job. But there needs to return to this industry, because we've lost a ton of drivers that had my experience level. Good drivers. But this industry's turned into such a shit show that we've lost a ton of them. A ton of them. Before they were of age to retire, they just said to hell with it, got off the road and went and did something else. And honestly, I'd be lying to you if I say I didn't cross my mind. I texted my wife yesterday and I said, I'm ready to retire from trucking and go do something else. Bag groceries, whatever. Because people have gotten, both truck drivers and four-wheelers, everyone has gotten so self-important and self-absorbed. There is no courtesy from anybody anymore. You know, and everybody's in a hurry. Everybody is inattentive. You know, I was in a hour-and-a-half backup to go 5 miles yesterday up in Texas, north of Dallas, Fort Worth. In between, it was a construction zone. They had the right lane closed for a little bridge. You know, they were replacing one section of concrete on this bridge, which the whole damn bridge needs to be replaced, truth be told. But anyway, they had the right lane closed, and there were only 2 lanes to begin with on I-35 there. And there were as many truck drivers that just ignored the sign that said right lane closed ahead. There were as many truck drivers ignoring that sign as there were four-wheelers, just so they could get up to the front of the line and just cut right on in front of somebody, you know. And that's bullshit. You see the sign, or if somebody says on the radio, hey, you know what, the right lane's closed up here, you get over in the left lane as soon as you possibly can. Get over there. Let's all get in that straight line and we can sail right on through there, right? But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But this industry, this profession, demands common sense. Common sense. This guy, okay, he had a CDL that he legally obtained, which can be legally obtained in a 3-day course in this country, which is the biggest crock of shit there is. But he obtained let's say he obtained this CDL on a 3-day course that they teach right there in Florida. I've seen the signs, sitting in the grass on the alongside the roads down there. And it's like, what are you going to learn in what are you going to teach somebody in 3 days about this? There's so, if the people in Washington want to help this industry, okay, they're on the right course. Don't get me wrong, they're on the right course. The English proficiency, absolutely. But they need to look at the training that drivers take. They need to look at what people are being told before there's no driver shortage. There's a driver retention industry. The industry is having trouble retaining drivers because they think they're just going to come out here and it's a piece of cake. You're just cruising around. No, it's it's mentally taxing, this job. And it takes a certain temperament. And honestly, in this day and age, I think half of them need a psychological evaluation. I mean, we got drivers shooting other drivers. We never used to have that. We never used to have all these pileups, that they have during the winter. But we all had CBs back then and warned each other of what's coming up, down the road. But yeah, this guy, whether he had a CDL or not, he didn't have a fucking brain, okay? You don't make a U-turn on an interstate. You just don't. I don't give a shit if he had to pay another toll. I don't care if he had to go 20 miles to the next exit so he could get off and go over to the northbound side or southbound, whatever, whichever way he was trying to turn around to go. But you go down to the next exit and you turn around. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You don't go in the median. Ever, no matter what. Especially on a freaking interstate. There's people flying down the interstate. That's common sense. That's common sense. We don't need that guy. And there should be, I hear there's petitions out there, with all these signatures to show leniency. No. Don't show leniency. He didn't show. Look at the video. Look at the expression on his face after they crashed into his vehicle. The inward-facing dash cam, which I don't really believe in them, but I'm glad this one had it because the expression on his face says it all. He could give two shits what he just did. Same with his co-driver. Both of them were just emotionless. He deserves the death penalty. He does. I would have been, well, number one, I wouldn't have done a U-turn, but if I just killed three innocents, due to my negligence, or even if it wasn't my fault, I would have been weeping because of what their family was about to go through. And the fact that I would have to live with that the rest of my life. I probably wouldn't get back in a truck. This guy didn't give two shits. He deserves the death penalty at a minimum. At a minimum. Or life without parole. Which I don't really agree that the U.S. taxpayers, the people of Florida, should have to pay to house him. Even the death penalty, he'll sit on death row for 20, 30 years probably, using appeal after appeal after appeal with a court-appointed attorney, which is also paid for by the people. No. This guy needs the book thrown at him. He should have no leniency because those innocent people that got killed at his hands, they had no leniency, did they? They're dead. Their lives were cut short by a dumbass that had no business in a semi. Plain and simple. And that's coming from a truck driver. Okay? So that's all I got for today, kids. If you're driving a truck You don't make a U-turn on a highway. You don't do it. You don't do it. Or a side street, or anywhere else for that matter. You're just going to wreak havoc. If you got to do it in a, in a lot where you got to back into a door and you're facing the door, that's acceptable. Or if you got to get into a parking spot and you can do it safely, fine. But you don't do it on a public roadway. Trucks don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. Michigan, the old Michigan, the Michigan left turn is what we call it. For some ungodly reason in the state of Michigan, they always have you go down past your turn and they have a lane for U-turns, and you have to do that in order to get back to your place, which will be on the right after you do your U-turn. So anyway, I never understood it, but whatever, that's Michigan. Every state's got their quirks, but there again, you still have to pay attention to what you're doing even there, because if there's oncoming traffic, you don't want to do your U-turn in front of oncoming traffic, do you? Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Everybody be safe out there, okay? And be kind to one another. Courtesy will always get us to where we're going a hell of a lot easier than being self-important and discourteous. Be safe, everybody. Don't forget to comment on this, like it, share it with all your friends, and subscribe, okay? Talk to you later.